Well, that doesn't surprise me. I won't mince words. I don't like shimming. My complete trust in him was repaid with his exploiting my lack of management acumen, then usurping my position as head of Gideon.
But you're still president of the corporation.
Oh, yes, yes. I have no more real authority to run my company than the King of England has to run his country. I'm merely a figurehead, nothing more.
Why don't you just sack him, as the English say?
Even if I could, what would be the point, huh? My time is past. I'm as outdated as this antique. Such is the cutthroat nature of business. Though I dare say the world itself has become nothing more than a business run by a select few.
I'm not sure I agree, Mr. Gideon. I think there are a lot of people out there who want to make the world a better place.
Oh? And you, my fine friend, how do you intend to make the world a better place? Well, that doesn't surprise me. I won't mince words. I don't like shimming. My complete trust in him was repaid with his exploiting my lack of management acumen, then usurping my position as head of Gideon.
But you're still president of the corporation.
Oh, yes, yes. I have no more real authority to run my... Though I dare say the world itself has become nothing more than a business run by a select few.
I'm not sure I agree, Mr. Gideon. I think there are a lot of people out there who want to make the world a better place.
My father wasn't suicidal, and I'll pay you to prove it.
I'm investigating the death of Carl Linsky.
I am not the enemy.
I know, but Overlord is.
Actually, my own death is not exactly high on my wish list of things I'd like to happen to me. But I'll tell you one thing. They know I'm not going to give up without a fight.
My name's Tex Murphy. I'm a small-time private investigator in the big city of New San Francisco. But my office isn't in the glamour districts. It's in the run-down, mutant part of the city, close to Coit Tower. A place they've been refurbishing for years, but it never seems to improve. I've cracked some pretty big cases over the years. You may even have heard of me. But I don't do much investigating anymore.
What year do you think it is? Are you serious?
Whoever did this to you could have wiped your memory entirely, but they didn't.
I'm a big fan of forgiving and forgetting. Mostly forgetting.
Do you have disturbingly realistic, vivid dreams of another era?
Whatever happened to that big, lovable moron?
If I'd asked you that 2 days ago, you would have punched me in the face.
Maybe I should punch you now. Might jog both our memories.
Nice. Classic Tex Murphy.
I don't know what kind of bastard I turned into.
It's one of the great mysteries. Tesla conducted an experiment and it nearly took out a whole chunk of New York City.
Man has created hell on Earth. And the longer man exists, the further he descends from the wisdom and discernment needed to overcome the darkness.
What's the big deal with the Tesla inventions? I mean, there must be some reason they were never made.
Nikola Tesla was a genius.
The FBI just swooped in and confiscated all his papers, and the Tesla cash just disappeared.
This is what Tesla intended.
I can't really remember why I became a PI. Maybe because I believed in its code of honor, but even a set of principles can slowly slip from your grasp. Temptations become obsessions. Each day, innocence fades, and your character weakens.
Mantis, you gotta hold it together.
I can't.
You gotta tell me where the egg is.
I'm trying!
Everything has led to this. I don't know what kind of bastard I turned into over these last 7 years.
like it when the good guys win.
Yes. But what if the war were not over? What if Lucifer had not been defeated, but lay in wait, preparing for his chance to overthrow heaven? Look at the world around you. Did heaven win the battle? Your role, whether for good or evil, has yet to be determined.
Dude, wake up!
Matt?
Dude, everyone's going crazy. Everyone in town is just attacking everybody. It's like that shitty M. Night Shyamalan movie. No, that was the good one. Never mind all that. Okay, I figured it out. Now this is important. The secret to survival is press X to not die. Good job, dude.
Oh my God, Matt! Matt?
I didn't press X in time.
Matt! 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 Matt? Where is everyone? Hi, kitty.
Oh my God, I gotta call Christina.
Hello? I'm fine. How are you? What are you talking about? Oh my god. Was it a Twilight fan? I told him not to join Team Jacob. I told him antagonizing Team Edward was putting his life on the line.
Hello? Christina? No reception. Seriously?
What's with this icon?
I've got to go get her.
Oh man, what should I do?
Thanks, man. Bike thieves sure are getting aggressive these days, aren't they?
See ya. Hey, wait!
Man, bike would have been useful right about now.
Okay, dying. Not helpful.
want to film as my next video yet. I think I'm gonna try to hope.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you everyone for showing up in beautiful Mexico. I would like to start telling you a story from 2003. Because in 2003, something remarkable happened. It was the year that the Lego company had a serious problem. Back then, you know Lego, right? Back then, Lego, of course, was well known by everyone, but sales was going down. And in fact, it was going down to such degree that the company was struggling to survive. So what happened was that later on, they wanted to figure out a way to get around the problem. And the way for them to get around the problem was, of course, to change the product portfolio. So they listened to something called big data. And big data was basically explaining that the instant gratification generation had arrived. And that generation basically had no patience whatsoever to play with Legos. I mean, those tiny bricks, it would take hours and hours to build a castle. So they said, why don't we change the size of those Lego bricks from tiny bricks to gigantic building blocks? So you could build a castle in a matter of an hour or two. Christmas 2003 was really the year where they decided to change the whole strategy around that. And as they introduced it, everything went bad. The sales went down more than 30% that Christmas. And at that stage, Lego was close to bankruptcy. And this is really where my story begins. Because a small outbreaker team at Lego decided to break the rules and start to move in with consumers across Europe. And they end up in a home of an 11-year-old kid in Germany. And they sit on the floor, it's a true story, they sit on the floor, interview this young kid and ask him one single question. What are you most proud of? And the kid pauses for a second and he points to a shelf where there's an old, worn-down sneaker standing. And Lego's completely confused. Why would he point to an old sneaker, not a Sony PlayStation or Nintendo or something like this? No, an old, worn-down, smelly sneaker is what he points out. And he takes them down, and of course they're saying, why? And the kid pauses for a second, and then he says, because this is my evidence that I'm the best skater in town. What? You see, when you're a good skater, I'm not sure if you know about this, you slide down a skateboard and it creates a certain wear and tear on the side of that sole of the sneaker. And exactly that angle was indicating that he was number one in his city. You see, the more time you use fine-tuning that, suddenly this shoe became his trophy, his evidence to the world that he was number one. Now, why is this so important? Well, because Lego realized that very second that they were watching the suggestion to what should make Lego turn around. You see, if the kid is prepared to spend hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, of fine-tuning the angle of a shoe, the whole theory about the instant gratification generation is wrong. I mean, why would the kid spend so much time? Well, the answer is very simple. Because the kid was suddenly in the driver's seat. So out of this, Lego changed the strategy. They changed the size of those gigantic building blocks back to tiny, small bricks. They added even more of those to the sets. They also introduced the Lego Movie, created alliances with all sorts of different brands. Yeah, the Lego Movie, in fact, became the second highest grossing movie of all time last year. And today, Lego is number one. And this story began with an old, worn-down sneaker. This is the very concept of small data. The seemingly insignificant observations we make in consumers' lives, which at first seems ridiculous. But if you really peel that onion, you'll start to realize that in fact there's a little secret hidden underneath. And sometimes we become blind for that. The best case in point is when Google, just a couple of years ago, discovered that they were able to predict a flu outbreak 5 or 6 days before it would happen. Just based on what we type into the search algorithms of Google, right? Well, what was interesting about it was that they were right. It was shocking, it was fascinating for the medical community in the United States because they could warn or be warned a couple of days before about this flu outbreak and be prepared. But just until recently, something remarkable happened. The Center for Disease Control in the United States analyzed the numbers and realized that Google was completely wrong. In fact, what people were doing is they typed in flu, and then the neighbor would say, oh, you have a flu, and they will type in flu as well. And the kids will say, that's interesting, I want to understand flu. And suddenly the numbers would be wrong. And in fact, the numbers were twice the number of what they should have been. And Google cared about the correlation rather than the causation. What they should have cared about is the causation, the reason why. And then they should have verified it using correlation. Causation is small data. Correlation is big data. It seems crazy, it's that simple, but it is. And best case in point is really an American bank which just recently had a similar problem. Clients were escaping out of the bank. There was too much churn between the accounts. People closing down the account and just leaving. And the company very quickly concluded that it must be because they don't like us. It must be because the interest rate is too high. We have to change that. Just before they changed it, a clever guy said, why don't we spend time with the consumer and ask them why? Seems so blindly obvious, but that's not what we do today, because we believe that all the answers happen on a screen. And we have this window to the world, and we can control the consumer through a remote control. And if the batteries are flat, we just change them, because we've forgotten about the reality as human beings. And it's really, really difficult to define love using numbers. I mean, how many of you, when you picked up the girlfriend, the boyfriend, did a spreadsheet, just an Excel spreadsheet at home, just saying, well, I want her to be 173 centimeters tall, and I want the color of the eyes to be Pantone color 5526, and the last 4 numbers of the cell phone number should be 22610. It really turns me on. I mean, if you did that, I would say there probably is a little bit of an issue here, right? And that's exactly what the bank thought. So this clever guy says, why don't we ask the consumer, our clients? And they realized the reason why there was too much churn, shifting around with these bank accounts, was simply because people were getting through a divorce. And as you are going through a divorce, you have to separate the accounts, and it just looks like you're changing the accounts and you're not happy. But the bank was overseeing a major business opportunity of dealing with people going through divorce. This is the story about small data. And small data is everywhere. It is how you place the shoes in the entrance when you walk into a home. It's how you hang a painting. It's how you place a coffee table book, or how you, for example, decorate your Facebook page. A large photo with a very dreamy background can indicate where you would like to be, but you're not presently there. If you look straight into the camera, it indicates that you are not very secure. In fact, if you look away from the camera, the profile photo, it indicates that you are very self-aware. All these seemingly insignificant observations in our life indicate where we're going in the future. And the issue today is that we right now are in a situation where we're overseeing it. We're overseeing it because big data makes us become blind. It's a good way of washing our hands and feel we ticked all the boxes. The problem is everyone has access to the same numbers. They mine the data the same way, and they have the same people doing it and using the same software. And guess what? Surprise, we end up with exactly the same conclusion. But if we drill into the art of small data, that's where differences are happening. And this is really where my story began. It's the answer which turned around a failing toy company to be #1 in the world. It's the art which has made some of the most powerful brands today become what they are. And it's the art of being human, of being present, and most importantly, start to observe those seemingly insignificant observations in our lives, what I simply call small data. Thank you, guys. I know we have time for questions, I think. Is that fair? So if you're up for it, then any question, hammer me down, and let's see what we can get up with, right?
Hello. Which was the most surprising thing you discovered with your method of visiting people's house to study their behavior?
Well, I spend a lot of time also here in Mexico moving into homes. Remember, I think over the last 10 years, I've been visiting 2,000 different homes across 77 countries. I think I've visited more than 110 homes across Mexico. One of the things I discovered here in Mexico, which I found is kind of fascinating, is that in contrast to almost the rest of the world, obesity, as you know, is a very big problem here. And we noticed that small chubby babies, a little bit chubbier than normal, is not chubby because that's how we believe it should be. It's because the mother feels guilty here in Mexico, because the nice chins and the chubbiness indicates she's been a good mom. And in fact, the kid loves the food. And that's the reason why obesity is so big here in Mexico, because there's an inherent understanding in this country that if you are chubby as a child, you will become a successful kid later on. So the obesity we see, which is one of the highest in the world, starts at the age of 2 months. And that's one of the insights we discovered here in Mexico. There's a lot of things we are observing all the time. In general, bigger observations has for me clearly been when we work with a large fashion chain in Europe, one of the largest fashion chains for young girls between the age of 14 and 18 years of age. Now, this fashion chain was struggling a lot, and we had to find out what is the issue with it. So we moved in with the consumers, and with permission from mom and dad, we started to observe these young girls to understand how they're living. And there was no way we could ask them a question about what they believed in, what they didn't believe in. So we had to see things instead. Now, what we realized was the girls on average were waking up, listen to this, 23 minutes earlier than they did just 10 years ago. Very strange. Why? We couldn't ask them. So I went into the shower cabin, and I noticed that the hole in the shampoo was slightly smaller than it was just 10 years ago, which, by the way, based on our experience, means that people use less time in the shower. So that's not where they spend those minutes. We also noticed they're using hand cream, which were oil-based. 10 years ago, it was water-based. And they noticed that the facial cream now was water-based. 10 years ago, it was oil-based. Why? We noticed they used more facial powder. Why? We're very puzzled about that observation until one day, I remember, we just got that insight. Wow, I think I know why. You see, what is the first thing we do when we wake up in the morning? Who is the first thing we're touching? Well, it's not your girlfriend and boyfriend anymore. It's the cell phone, the smartphone, right? And then we're at work after 2 minutes, right? Beside that. But exactly the same is the case with the girls. And what happens is you have dry fingers in the morning, right? Which is the reason why they use oil-based hand cream, because then it slides better on the display. Now, why is this interesting? Because if you use oil-based facial cream, your face is shining. And if your face is shining, you don't take selfies. Do you know what the first thing the girls are doing when they wake up in Europe every morning? Is to take a selfie. Because we noticed that water-based facial cream not shining, using more facial powder. Interesting. And then we went back to the big data and realized they're not taking one selfie. In fact, looking at the transaction, looking at the upload of data, they're taking, I hope you're sitting down now, 17 selfies every morning to color coordinate the clothes they're wearing. And that became the insight for us to turn around a fashion chain in Europe, because we realized if you take that many selfies, you very quickly run out of clothing options, because you have to show all this and coordinate all these clothes with your best girlfriends. And therefore we had to introduce 2 more seasons. So today this fashion chain have 6 seasons, and yes, they're doing very well. And that insight began with a facial cream, a hand cream, and some facial powder. Good, other questions? You have a question? Nice, I'll come down to you. Do you have a microphone here?
I feel that it's very difficult to make all of this correlation, and maybe we are using big data because it's more easy to handle. How you choose what you are going to observe and use small data in it?
Excellent and very well considered question. Thank you for that. The trick is to find imbalances in people's lives. I'll tell you a very embarrassing story. I have a Rolex watch. And it's not just a Rolex watch, it's a gold Rolex watch. I know what you're thinking. Don't think now. I know what you're thinking. Now, why do I tell you about that? Because when I bought it back many years ago, I bought it, I thought, because I read all those ads. And in the ads it was saying that it can survive 2,000 meters under the sea. And I swim 2,000 meters under the sea every morning. That's a standard thing of me. And I meet other business people swimming down there with their watches as well, right? I realized probably it was not the right conclusion, but then one day I had a meeting with a major company in Europe, and the guy comes up to me and he says, Martin, is that a Rolex watch? A gold Rolex watch? I would never thought that about you, he said to me. I said, I didn't know, it was so embarrassing, right? So I immediately went down to the main street in Switzerland and I tried to sell my watch. And the guy looked at me and he said, you know it's a gold Rolex watch. Only Russian and Chinese wear them. And by the way, it's a woman's watch as well. What I realized from this story is that what we're searching for when we search for small data is the outer balances. We're all out of balance. It may be I feel I'm too overweight. It may be I feel I'm insecure. It may be I feel that I don't have enough friends. Or I feel that I'm in danger. And all those outer balances indicate the gap for a new product, a new innovation, or a new brand. So when we do our investigation, we always look for the imbalances in our lives. And all of you have it, me included. Even nations have outer balances. I mean, Syria in Europe is now taking all these refugees into Europe. It's a whole nation which is out of balances. What I find fascinating is you can actually squeeze an entire nation and it's out of balance into an emoji. How many of you are using emojis? Raise your hand. I'm glad for that because 54% of emoji users had sex last year. By the way, I saw a couple of people who are not raising their hands, so obviously there's a bit of an issue there. Emojis indicates the state of a nation. If you go to
scallywag.
I'm lucky you're my best friend.
Damn right you are, you mushy weirdo. Now get your ass down here. We have treasure to find.
Sunshine for everyone, but as far as I can remember, we've been migratory animals living under changing weather.
So what do you want? You don't know who the fuck I am!
What are you doing? Get that gun away from me, psycho! No!
My name is Max Caulfield. I'm 18 years old. Years ago, my family moved away and I left behind my childhood. After 5 years, I'm back in my hometown, Arcadia Bay, Oregon. Now I'm studying photography at Blackwell Academy, my new home. In the end, it's still high school, which kind of sucks. Then there's Chloe.
Home, shit, home. Let's dance! Or take my picture with your new camera. Come on, rock out, girl!
Then something happened. Something that changed my life forever.
Max, what's going on?
Where am I? There's something else I have to tell you. Holy shit.
Talk to me, Max.
Oh, no! I discovered I could reverse time.
Max, start from the beginning. Hey! Max? Chloe? Oh! Get in, Max! In the bathroom today. You set off the alarm. You hella saved my life. Don't ever touch me again!
Then I realized I had a choice. Hey, you okay? And the power to change everything.
Bang! What the hell? Come on, slowpoke!
If I see you here again, you'll learn all about real trouble.
So, what would you do now?
Evil. Pure evil.
We're gonna have to cut away from weather right now.
5 young, bright students on their way to a sure death.
I just want you to find out who did this and to feel safe again.
When I turned him over, his face was horrific.
You're safe in here now.
I'm a suspect.
You think I did something bad? What?
Does this ordeal really need to be recorded?
The survivor, she's pulled through.
Kept me company at the hospital.